So what's up, guys? Boy, do we have a surprise in the latest chapter of the Dragon Ball Super manga. It turns out that Toyotaro has chosen to expand on Dragon Ball Super Broly in the retelling of Dragon Ball Super Superhero, which is a really interesting choice that we're getting a explanation for a film within an explanation for a film. But I actually am glad, because that means that they are obviously building up to something huge with all the events in Dragon Ball Super Superhero and Dragon Ball Super Broly. All of these events are going to be important in reference to whatever is coming with Black Frieza or the future of Dragon Ball. So that's got me excited. I'm really happy to hear that. But yeah, so let's just look into the rough drafts for Dragon Ball Super and see what we have so far. So as Herms mentions here, shout out to Herms, the roughs are out for Dragon Ball Super Chapter 93. As Goku and Broly spar, the narrator explains just who this Broly guy is, one of the few Saiyan survivors with astonishing potential, and accuse a recap of his backstory from Dragon Ball Super Broly. Now, this is likely due to the fact that we really only got a small explanation for Broly in the Dragon Ball Super manga prior, and to me, that was enough to essentially cover who Broly was, but they decided to expand on it more, and again, that's likely due to the fact that whatever is coming, it's centered around Broly heavily. So we get this imagery of King Vegeta seeing Broly in his pod, his egg-shaped, Sun Wukong egg-shaped pod, and then we see Broly and Paragus living out their life in the wilderness together, them being discovered by Chi-Lai and Lemo, and being taken to work for the Frieza Force. And I gotta say, I really like this art here. That top panel with Broly, Paragus, and Frieza looks so cool. It's very Star Wars-esque. Dragon Ball Super Broly also has some really heavy Star Wars vibes. I know I've called the Granola arc the Star Wars arc of Dragon Ball, but you can really see the Star Wars influence here with that top panel between Paragus, Broly, and Frieza as well. And to me, again, I've talked about this in previous videos, but I think that Vegeta and Goku are both going to serve a vital role in terms of preparing Broly to keep up with them. He already has the potential to spar with them, so that means that he is already ridiculously talented as a fighter. But I want you to just think about all of the things that Vegeta and Goku have over Broly in terms of everything they've learned from their training. Not only do they have superior chi control in every way, and not only do they have, disciplined martial arts styles that they have built over the years, they have God chi. Goku has learned to control his anger in battle. Vegeta has learned correct motivation to use in battle in terms of his Saiyan pride. And I think all of that stuff, everything that Goku and Vegeta has learned in the past, is going to end up being implemented into what Goku and Vegeta teach Broly. And I do honestly think, and I'll talk about this more in an upcoming video, that Goku and Vegeta are essentially going to serve as the ingredients that Goku and Vegeta themselves serve to make Goku in the Namek Saga the legendary Super Saiyan. That same concept, I think, is going to apply to Broly in the future. So we get to see Broly and Goku going at it. We get to see Frieza taking out Paragus. We get to see Broly doing that crazy mouth meme. That Toyotaro did the meme where Goku's mouth looks wild when he's being squeezed by Vegeta. I don't know if you've seen that before. We get to see Broly going into his Akari state in the manga for the first time. We also get to see his full-powered Super Saiyan state. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to have green hair or not, which is interesting, because the previous page, something really interesting to point out here is the previous page that Toyotaro drew in reference to the manga, he was not all huge and buff and seemingly in his full power form like he is here. So that means that Toyotaro is probably changing things up from his previous portrayal of the manga. And then we get to see, Chi-Lai, Lemo, and Broly barely surviving on planet Vappa. And, of course, Goku went to get him there. And then we get to see Broly's eyes white out. Now, this is really interesting. One of my buddies was essentially trying to suggest that Broly doesn't have his Akari state here. I don't think that's what's happening, because in the film, the Akari state, he still had white eyes in his Akari state whenever he was in the Broly film. Because if you remember when his eyes shattered when he went Super Saiyan, his eyes turned white, and then whenever he was facing Gogeta went to use the Kamehameha on him, and he sort of snapped out of it a little bit, and when he did that, the yellow eyes were back. So Broly was in his Akari state while also being in Super Saiyan. So this is essentially just like, the reason his eyes are white is because, now remember, Ikari means rage, but the reason his eyes are white here is because he is on the verge of completely losing himself like he did as a Super Saiyan in the Broly film. So that makes perfect sense to me. Now, this is something I'm going to give Toyotaro a lot of praise for. He essentially fixed the meditation scene from Dragon Ball Super Superhero. It is established here that Goku does in fact know that Vegeta is meditating, but he doesn't understand why Vegeta would meditate because it's not really his style. Now, something I really want to explain here and clarify for people, because I don't think a lot of people understand exactly what's going on here. When Goku was taught meditation, Goku was taught to still the mind via Popo. That is his understanding of meditation. But that is not the only use of meditation in martial arts. Another real-life use for meditation in martial arts is the ability to imprint moves into your mind. So Goku essentially has been implementing moves into his muscle memory via his body his whole life. Whereas Vegeta, he doesn't have that going on, so he has to imprint his moves into his mind rather than his body. So this entire concept is just a play on the difference between Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, their themes, and this is essentially Vegeta implementing his mind to implement instinctual movements, whereas Goku is never going to do that, because when Goku uses Ultra Instinct, his body has a mind of its own, and his body is free. So what Vegeta is essentially doing here, in reference to Ultra Ego, is he is taming the monkey in his mind, right? He's taming the monkey in his mind to fight the way that he wants. Whereas the difference between him and Goku is that Goku is actually allowing the monkey, which fights on an instinctual level, using the primal ancient fighting style of his people, he's allowing that monkey to just do what it wants. He's allowing it to just fight how it wants. So he's using his instincts as a Saiyan to allow his body to move the way that it wants via his emotions, and that causes him to behave like an ape, essentially. That's the reason his fighting style is so different. But with Vegeta, he doesn't have that going on. He doesn't have the ability to just let go and let the body do whatever it wants because he's not using Ultra Instinct. So he has to rely on his mind to perform these instinctual movements. And another big change here is that Vegeta mentions not only Jiren, but Broly, Moro, Gas, and Frieza. So that means that, Vegeta has figured out that this is something he also has to implement in order to take out Frieza. So Vegeta has essentially figured out that the only way he will ever be able to use Ultra Ego effectively against the likes of Frieza, Jiren, Moro, Gas, anybody that he faces like that in the future, is to essentially essentially tame the monkey in his mind and train the monkey in his mind to fight the way that he wants when he's in Ultra Ego. Because when he's in Ultra Ego, he's essentially allowing his instincts to take over, but he's not implementing any form of Ultra Instinct where his body is moving on his own. He's letting his mind, which is overcome with his instincts as a Saiyan, to dominate his movements. So he has to teach his mind exactly how to fight and move in combat. And this is just something else that's likely going to add to what they need, what Broly needs to keep up with Goku and Vegeta. And they actually hint at this in the film itself, because Broly watches the match between Goku and Vegeta, and that causes him to want to implement what he's seeing between the two into his fighting style. So there's a lot of implications just in these drafts, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far. I really prefer Toyotaro's version of the events so far. And I was just talking about a week ago about how I wouldn't mind to have an adaptation of the Broly film in manga form. So this is all just a treat for me, and I really enjoy seeing it. Okay, and here we have the translated pages of the draft. So let's just take a second to look through those. So this man's name is Broly. He's one of the few Saiyan survivors with extraordinary potential. When he was a child, he was sent off to a far-off world by King Vegeta, who was jealous of his power. He lived a very tough life with his father for 41 years. Of course, Paragus vowed his revenge, like we all know. Chila and Lemo found him, saved them both, and then there was peace for a while until Broly showed up. And then, it shows the fight between Vegeta, Broly, and Goku. Oh, and then right here we have Paragus stating that if Broly loses his temper, he will go crazy. So rage is essentially what triggers his Akari state. Shocker. So then it talks about Paragus' death driving him crazy. And then it talks about them hiding from Frieza's army on Vampa. And then it shows Broly about to lose his temper. So here we go. So this is essentially Goku. The reason Goku is just worried about Vegeta's body stiffening up is because, again, he only ever used meditation for what Popo taught him, and that is stealing the mind. So it does make sense, like, what's happening here. And the way that they portray it is much more effective in communicating that than the film so far. So I'm really happy to see this. I'm really glad that they fixed that and that they've clarified this. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm really hyped for the next chapter now that I've seen this, and I hope you guys are too. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.